If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream with me, Grizzly. This is Grizzly True Crime, and we are here to see Laurie Shaver get sentenced. Now, we did watch her trial together. It was actually a very short trial. It lasted a whole week, okay? But my goodness, it was jam-packed with information, high drama. Laurie Shaver got her teenage daughter to testify and tell her story. Oh my word. So if you missed it, if you saw her ex-lover testify, Jeremy, who she seems to be obsessed with, you got to check it out, okay? That would be, I would say day 4 was very, very interesting. The entire playlist is linked in the description box for you. Right now, I'm monitoring the court feed just to make sure, when they start the sentencing hearing, which will include motions hearings, I'm assuming victim impact statements, and then, of course, sentencing. Now, let me just give you a brief recap. Let's just quickly go over this so that we can just be on the same page quickly of what's going on. There's Harmony's beautiful face here. Shame, okay. From the Adam Montgomery trial, right? Harmony Renee. Okay, so this case happened in Lake County, Florida. Welcome, everyone. Are there any locals in chat? Anyone from Lake County, Florida? Anyone from Florida? Let us know. Welcome to all my moderators, patrons, members, subscribers. Thank you so much for being here. There's lots of new subscribers as well. If you missed the trial coverage, I hope you'll check it out. It's all time-stamped for you and defluffed. When I say defluffed, I mean there's no coffee breaks or lunch breaks. You can just watch it all in one go while you're cleaning your house, driving, whatever it is. You can listen to it. You can watch it. It's all there for you. All right, so the Lake County woman convicted in the death of her husband is set to find out her fate on Tuesday. Actually, yeah, it's Tuesday. There was something scheduled for yesterday, but it ended up being today. Anyway, so in September, Laurie Shaver, 42, was found guilty of second-degree murder in a week-long trial. A week long, you guys. If you didn't get your trial completion certificate, it is available on Patreon. So, more than 6 years after her husband's body was found under a concrete slab at the property the couple had once shared. Yes, she literally built a fire pit and was roasting marshmallows with her new hubby, with her kids there, over her husband's dead body. Literally. It's so sickening. And she's written an absolutely crazy letter to the judge, and we're going to be reading through that together. So please do stick around. If you can't stick around, come back, watch the replay, because it will be timestamped for you, right? All right, so she can't believe it. She thinks she's being railroaded. If you know anything about this case, some people, I don't know, if you want to think she's railroaded, okay, each to their own, right? I don't think so. I think she's very, very guilty. Okay, so the shocking discovery came about a month after a friend told deputies that he had not heard from Michael Shaver since 2015. I actually do have a picture here of Michael. Shame, this poor guy. Oh my goodness. Oh my word. There's Michael Shaver, the victim in this case. Okay, so a friend said he hadn't heard from Michael Shaver since 2015. Officials say they believed Laurie was responsible for Michael's death and assumed his identity over text and Facebook after he was gone. Yeah, you know when we see those like stalker type cases, coercive control, people impersonating deceased spouses or partners? Yeah, she did this for years. That's so crazy, right? Carrie says, hello, G and Grizzlies. Hope there's full justice for Michael. I hope so too. I really do. So she's facing a sentence of 25 to life. Before the live stream started, I was asking you guys who were here, what do you think her sentence will be? I mean, I don't know what to say. Actually, it could really be. It could be a life sentence. I wonder if it'll be life without parole. I'm not sure, especially after a crazy letter and making her daughter testify. Wow. Okay. So they said she assumed his identity over text and Facebook after he was gone. While Laurie Shaver was found guilty of second-degree murder at her trial, the woman was found not guilty of accessory after the fact to a life felony. During the trial, the woman's defense attorney not only maintained that Michael was an abusive husband, that victim blaming and shaming went quite far, but went as far as to claim that Laurie was not the one who killed him. It was her ex-lover, Jeremy. She's like, she's still not over him. If you watch the trial with me, we were like, whoa, she's really not over him. She had her hair done during the trial. And then we were like, why did she have she's had her hair colored and cut and blow dry, the whole thing. Like she was just there like, whew. And we were like, what is happening? Oh, she was going to take the stand that day. And so was Jeremy. Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. So during the trial, the woman's defense attorney not only maintained that Michael was this abusive husband, but went as far as to claim that Laurie was not the one who killed him. Instead, the defense said 2 other people were responsible for the man's death, including the couple's daughter. Yes, she even blamed her own daughter, the one she put on the stand, saying, well, she pulled the trigger because she was trying to protect me. But her story made no sense, right? Oh, that's true. You guys remind me of that as well. Thank you, Tina Mindful. Yesterday, we watched the Spencer Pearson sentencing, and Floridians in chat said, it's Florida, so life would be without parole. There is no parole, apparently, in Florida. Pretty cool to know, okay? Elizabeth said, justice for Michael Shaver. Shame on her for blaming her daughter and Jeremy. I mean, she blamed her daughter, she blamed Jeremy, she called Michael this abusive husband. Oh, my word. Okay, so the court feed is on. I only see one channel covering it right now. Meaning as in the court feeds. Where are the other court feeds? Where's Law and Crime and Court TV? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm monitoring. I will put that on in a moment. There's nothing happening right now, which is a bit odd. We might have to read the letter first then. Okay, so instead the defense said 2 other people, which as they said, the daughter as well. On one of the last days in court, the 15-year-old girl took the stand testifying that she shot Michael while he was beating Laurie. Yeah, and their stories, Laurie's story and her daughter's didn't add up, right? Welcome, Isabel. The teen also said a family friend shot Michael after she did, but that witness took the stand to say they never even met the man. Physical evidence indicates that Michael was shot exactly 1 time. The state questioned the 15-year-old daughter, who they said never shared this version of the story despite speaking to officials multiple times. In the end, the jury decided Laurie was guilty of murder after a 4-hour deliberation. Though Michael's family was elated, Laurie's attorney said they would appeal the verdict. And you know what? She prematurely appealed the verdict. Oh my word, there's like a document out there. It's like she's already filed an appeal and written a letter. She's very busy already. She was handcuffed, carted off to jail. So yeah, she filed an appeal, and the judge was like, it's too early for that, lady. You need to be sentenced first, okay? Wow. So sentencing is set for 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Even though lawyers are still setting the appeal process in motion, the woman faces life in prison. Okay, so we have that. Let me also bring this over so you could see what we're looking at. This is what we are monitoring. And I've also got the crazy letter she wrote. I mean, this is supposed to start, and that's going to take quite some time to read through. Let me just quickly bring, I've got one more picture here. Yes, are they going to talk now? Yes, let's say we're going to read the letter now so that we can hear them talk. There's the judge, Carrie F. Rada. This. Hello, Judge Rada. Okay. Oh, wait. Pause. We're going to show that. Okay, so Michael Shaver was allegedly, the investigators say they believe he was murdered between November 7th and 10th of 2015, 33 years old. Reported missing February 2018. That's not a typo. Okay? 3 years later. Body discovered beneath Laurie Shaver's fire pit on March 9th of 2018. Laurie Shaver was arrested September 17th of 2020. She paid $50,000 on bail, and she'd been home ever since until the trial, and then she got handcuffed. That's why she's not happy about this, okay? How dare they do that to her? She's writing crazy letters. We're going to go over that later. The case happened in Claremont, Lake County, Florida. So here she is, everyone. Oh my, okay. Why is she smiling like that? Lady,
right,
are you aware?
Good afternoon, everyone.
It's your sentencing.
Case number 2020 CF.
This is live right now.
261, State of Florida versus Laurie Shaver. Would the parties present please identify themselves for the record?
Nick Amatuccio on behalf of the state. Rich Buxman for the state.
Jeffrey Wiggs on behalf of Laurie Shaver.
I would like to boost it more for you. Hold on.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that any testimony you give today shall be the truth? Truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. All right, and we are here for sentencing today. All right, please proceed.
Here I do have a copy of the score sheet.
I've reviewed it.
All right, any objections to the score sheet, Mr. Wiggs?
No, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, there are a couple of victim impact statements, and one of the victim's family members would like to give a statement here.
Certainly.
Okay, so we know the plan. Victim impact statements as well. And then she's going to be sentenced.
Please come up to the podium. Please state your name for the record.
Brian Douglas.
All right, please proceed, sir.
All right, dear Judge, the senseless and tragic murder of Michael Douglas Shaver has left an irreparable void in all of our lives. The devastating loss has not only taken away a beloved family member, but also deeply impacted his two innocent children. Michael Shaver was a son, a brother, a father, an uncle, and a friend. He was a kind, loving, and humorous soul. He cherished his family and friends more than anything. Despite the challenges he faced, he always found a way to connect with those he loved. However, his life was tragically cut short at the young age of 33. Laurie Shaver's manipulative and narcissistic behavior isolated Michael from his family and friends, depriving us of a chance to be part of his life. Her actions not only led to his tragic death, but also perpetuated a harmful narrative that tarnished his memory and caused further pain to his loved ones, especially his children. Her actions did not stop the day she took his life and buried him within sight in her backyard. She continued to make choices that would impact both Michael's memory and the people around him for years to come, from stealing his identity, impersonating his likeness, marrying a new husband over his body, and putting the weight of a terrible tragedy on the shoulders of his daughter, having her to maintain that lie for years. Laurie Shaver's actions not only ended Michael's life, but also stole his future. She deprived him of the chance to live life to its fullest, raise his children, spend time with his family, experience personal growth. For the past 9 years, she has walked free, while we have endured the pain of his absence and relived the events through the investigation. She has witnessed the growth of his children, all while shaping their perspective of him with lies and distortions. These stolen years can never be returned, and the void left in our lives is immeasurable. The impact of Laurie Shaver's actions will forever scar our family. We mourn the loss of Michael and grieve for his children, who has been robbed of their father's love and guidance. The loss of Michael is a wound that will never fully heal. While justice may offer some solace, it cannot restore the life that was stolen or mend the broken hearts left behind. Judge, we thank you for your time and consideration as you make this sentencing judgment regarding the heinous crime against Michael Douglas Shaver from the Shaver family. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Shame. She looks
Now, I do
tired.
have two other statements from friends of Mr. Shaver. First being Randolph Bean. To whom it may concern, and all
Object to hearsay statement during sentencing hearing.
hearsay is admissible in sentencing, Judge.
Okay, overruled. Please proceed.
To whom it may concern, and
Mickey.
all who may have need to view it. This document is an impact statement against Laurie Shaver, who murdered her husband, Mike Shaver. Forgive me if it's too blunt or angry as I cut through my own anger to most clearly express my points. I beg your tolerance in this not being the typical statement going on at length about how much I miss my friend. I'm that annoying OCD guy that can't turn his mind off, notices everything and annoys everyone over details without trying to. I'm also the guy that's almost impossible to impress, so my feeling of Mike's merit is a rare thing for me to award anyone or thing. I can assure you I'm a lot nicer to talk to than read serious statements written by. Please bear with me as this document is at least now far shorter than the original 63 pages it started as. First, the victim himself, Mike Shaver. I knew and worked with him as a member of a very elite unlimited class air racing team for the most highly modified P-51 Mustang in history. Through that, I came to know that Mike had been a working commercial pilot at the start of a career flying local commuter flights in a turboprop aircraft. This requires the rating, the hours, and also know of both piston and gas turbine engines to qualify for the job. He obtained his rating initially with financial help from his parents at Laurie's insistence, and to separate from friends and family so as to control him, she demanded they move to Florida. He did so and was unable to find regional work as a pilot, and thus took a job maintaining monorails at Disney. There he was noted as a great and reliable worker. Maintaining his interest in aviation, he volunteered for the PM race team. While not a certified AP, he is allowed under FAA rules to work on experimental class of aircraft. I saw and worked with him on things as diverse as a complete rewire of aircraft, rebuilding landing gear, custom constructing a carbon fiber canopy to reduce drag, and of course internal work on the Rolls-Royce Griffin engine. This Mustang is only the third one so modified, and the other two were destroyed while racing. As a machine, he worked on literally the most advanced unlimited class racer ever built. He was not some ignorant flunky stuck with a dead-end job as a mechanic just out from under the shade tree of skill. I say this to illustrate that he was incredibly intelligent. At our last races, Mike, myself, and one other discussed forming a team for the IF1 class, known as the entry level to air racing. Mike, given his small stature, would have also been the pilot. He had agreed to pursue the idea. Friendship and shared tasks impressed me that he was an incredibly intelligent and funny person. You couldn't meet a nicer guy. I enjoyed getting to know him and looked forward to the future friendship and plans we shared, all now shattered and gone. As to him being a person and parent, I can say that I've never met a man so worried about the welfare of his children. He endured all, including being murdered in hopes of protecting them. As a result, he was a badly battered husband, always bearing the brunt of Laurie's outbursts and physical attacks. The court had only one instance to work with, and a bad one at that. Just after the event, I asked Mike why he went to jail when she attacked and overwhelmed him. The photos clearly showed him with bleeding head trauma, torn clothing, and disoriented look. His statement to me was, the police showed up and I told them that she had threatened all of us with her gun. I was scared she would hurt the kids, so I tried to take it away from her. She hit me repeatedly in the head with the gun, ripped off my pocket trying to get the truck keys, and broke a bunch of other stuff too. The police listened to her and seemed to think I was abusing her, and told us that they had to arrest somebody, as it was a domestic violence case. I thought it would be best to protect the kids by not having their mother go to jail, so I agreed to be arrested. It was noted in the trial he had moved into a room at the hangar without explanation. He did so to remain close to the children as possible. Literally everyone on our team urged him to leave her ASAP, but he realized that domestic violence arrest would easily put the kids back in her care. Based on that, he tried to create a peace with her and moved back in. When I asked why, which nobody else did, he told me, I want to be there to protect my kids. If he had any failing, it was in self-preservation. You can't survive for yourself, you can't be there for anyone else. That's why I say I have never seen a man more dedicated to his children than Mike. If spirits exist after this life, I'm sure his is gutted at the lies and brainwashing used on his daughter. Those of us who know them all 100% know that things stated she claimed to have done so were impossible simply based on her tiny size at the time. He was a smart, funny, caring, and wonderful man. The world is truly a worse place without him in it. I think of him often, and the pain and frustration of his murder leaves me angry every time. Time has not lessened the pain. Since Mike's murder, an openly diverse group of his friends have reached out and found each other. For example, his long-term middle and high school girlfriend described how hurt she was that Laurie stole him away from her. She wasn't angry at him, in fact, maintaining that he was an awesome guy and she wished she had never lost him. Even then, she feared for his safety, and she was proven right. So many you will never hear from miss him. Mike himself was very guarded, but the small amount of information he admitted proved yet again Laurie cares for nobody and will do whatever it takes, including murder, to please herself. I implore and demand you impose the harshest sentence that can be constructed. Punish her for the murder and the roundabout chaos and pain she caused all around her. It isn't about my personal feelings of loss. Those compose only a tiny part of the reason for the harsh sentence. It's about repeating the mistakes of so many legal system failures I have seen. Mike, a good man, was done so very wrong. and all the other abused husbands with no place to turn for help, you are their only chance. Randolph Bean. Also have a statement from a Scott Skrzycki.
It's just for the record, same objection as to the hearsay and the opinion testimony at this time.
Overruled.
Mr. Wiggy doesn't hold back on his objections. He's a very busy defense attorney. If you didn't see the first day where we went over kind of like a commercial that Mr. Wiggy made with Laurie Shaver, you got to check it out. That was quite something to see. All right, so let's keep going here. I can't believe he's objecting in these victim impact statements. All righty then.
Your Honor, Laurie Shaver has demonstrated multiple times her lack of remorse or resentment pertaining to the crimes she has committed. Laurie has willingly and without one single ounce of guilt damaged her children mentally by influencing them through instruction, uttering false statements since she murdered Michael in a feeble attempt to mask her crimes. Laurie assumed Michael's online identity, posing as Michael to myself, his other friends, and family to gain additional privilege of prolonged freedom, lengthening the time before she was able to be held accountable for her crimes. We will never get Michael back, and her family will never get his children's innocence back. Laurie's inhuman, ruthless, and savage actions, and especially her lack of any repentance, indicate that she will never change. If the time and place ever come where Laurie will be returned to society, that she deliberately and knowingly tried to deceive and attempt to falsify her innocence, I fully expect she will again incite bedlam and turmoil with whomever she associates with. She expects life to be a one-way street for her and in her favor. She has proven that when things do not go her way, there is no limit to the actions she is willing to take. I humbly and respectfully ask the court to impose the harshest sentence that is possible. Thank you, Scott Skrzycki. Your Honor, I do want to say that there have been various references within these victim impact statements and also in the pre-sentence investigation that talk about the fact that Ms. Shaver, now Ms. Filmer, has shown a total lack of remorse for her actions. I want to be clear that as far as any statements about that lack of remorse, especially from the PSI and the statements that I made, have nothing whatsoever to do with her expressing her innocence, maintaining her innocence, asking for a trial, asking for the jury to determine what the facts of this case are. That would be completely inappropriate and not an appropriate thing for the court to take into consideration for sentencing. When I talk about her lack of remorse, I refer to the actions that she took after her killing of her husband and all of the actions that she took to help cover that up. That includes lying to friends and family members, acting as if Michael Shaver was still alive, knowing full well what she had done. And those lies and manipulation extended not only to friends and family members of Michael Shaver, but his own children. That is, when I discuss her lack of remorse, that is what I am discussing, and that is something permissible for the court to consider her actions leading up to her arrest. Ms. Shaver is quite possibly the most manipulative defendant I have ever had charged with murder, and the extent that she went to cover her tracks deserved the harshest penalty, and I ask for life in prison on this case.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Wiggs.
Yes, Judge, I'll just briefly summarize some of the
Briefly. Okay, set aside 2 hours, you guys. Mr. Wiggy can take quite some time. Did you see that Laurie Shaver, she had like a smirk when one of the friend's statements said that, Laurie stole Michael from her. Laurie was like, she almost looked like that was a victory for her. I mean, hello, Laurie, read the room. This is your sentencing, Oh my goodness. Dr. Patrice Berry, welcome. You said totally agree, especially after hearing her recent letter. We're going to go through that after the sentencing. Oh my goodness. Her letter she really takes no accountability for this crime whatsoever. She thinks she's been railroaded in her letter. She says she's a victim of domestic violence and she can't believe basically the audacity of this judge to even, how could the state bring this case against her? They don't have any evidence, but they had plenty. you know? So, okay, let's keep going here.
The evidence, asked the court to consider such evidence that the court heard before it throughout the trial. I point out to the court that Ms. Shaver was not convicted of an accessory, as the state may allude to, but we heard evidence in this manner. There was digital evidence that was presented by the state. In advance of trial, I'd moved to exclude the digital data inasmuch as Facebook did not have any connective links as to the evidence, could not be linked to an IP address, a user, a location, or a device. Likewise,
But are you an IT specialist? Do you remember all these questions for all the witnesses? Doesn't matter who they are. But are you an IT specialist? What about that IP address, though? Shame, Wiggy.
there was no business record certificate offered by the state to authenticate the records. Instead, they just simply declared the records did not exist at this time. Despite that, the court allowed such evidence. Likewise, there was, aside from a lack of a connective link between Laurie Shaver and any physical evidence, what seemed to be the body of the state's case, there was a couple cards that were testified to. Defense counsel moved to exclude that, claiming that there was no handwriting analysis that had been conducted, and I think that's Proctor, that was in my motion, and nobody that could testify as to the authentication of the handwriting. That was read into evidence by a witness, wasn't simply ushered into evidence, but was read into evidence. And that had no connective link offered during the trial to Laurie Shaver. Likewise, there was reference to a sale of guns. Not one single gun that the state elicited testimony about had any actual involvement in the crime itself. I'd filed a pretrial motion on that to exclude it, and I think the relevant case was a case, I believe it was Agathis, that should be excluded. A case was appealed and reversed on that same basis itself. There was a gun that was actually entered into evidence by the state. The expert claiming that it had no connective link, it was just the type of gun. It had characteristics of the gun. No different than taking a picture of a white man or a black person leaving the scene of a crime and say he was this color. That was the connective link that the state relied upon. It had no probative value in this matter. Simply offered as prejudicial impact. The court will remember there was no connective link between the gravesite and Laurie Shaver. There was no DNA. There was no any clothing, anything that had a connective link to Laurie Shaver in the form of DNA, hair samples, or anything in that matter. The state, you may recall, tried to downplay this. I think.
Sir, there was concrete poured over that grave, which became a fire pit, which Laurie Shaver took her finger and made a little heart, for Travis and Laurie, and then they roasted marshmallows over her husband's dead body. What an odd place on that whole property to make that fire pit. Yeah, I think that's pretty telling.
It was Mr. Buxman questioning the witness, saying, well, you're not surprised that there's no link between that, given the degraded condition of the straps that were found in the grave. Ignoring the fact that possibly there was no connective link, being there was never at any time any DNA or evidence on those straps. The same way with the tarp. There was a blue tarp. Reminded the court that I brought out on cross-examination. The state did not take it upon themselves to do any kind of forensic analysis to see who, if anybody, had purchased that tarp. Nor did they do any DNA analysis on that tarp to see if it had been drug across the ground or how it got to the gravesite. I would bring that to the attention of the court. There was also testimony, unrefuted, from the medical examiner that there were buccal swabs connected to Michael Shaver, which indicated that there had been some force or trauma at a point post-death or after the death of Michael Shaver. It was testified, and the court heard testimony that the boyfriend at that time, Mr. Townsend, had, they believe, removed the body only to return it later. There was no evidence that Laurie Shaver had moved the body, and that could not be accounted for. That was brought out on evidence. It was likewise objected to throughout the trial continuously as to the form of the introduction by the state. I brought to the attention of the court that the state entirely relied on circumstantial claims of evidence, and that would be, it was always everything the state declared was going to be a timeline link. Anything that came into evidence, whether it was the gun, whether it was the sale of guns, whatever it was, that would be their claim. I presented to the court a case, Smith versus Carlisle, which went back through the history of circumstantial evidence and reinstated a case called Volcker. And there the Supreme Court had declared if the state's going to rely on circumstantial evidence, there must be a foundation for that evidence that's not subject to any other reasonable interpretation except that of guilt. At no time did the state throughout this trial, not one single time, did they establish any foundation upon which these circumstantial claims were based. And that instead they argued to the jury in their closing it was just a totality of these circumstances that they could hang their verdict upon.
I did warn you, right? Tupus Delight, he has a different definition of brief. Just briefly, okay? 2 hours later, we're like, oh my word, this is not the appeal process. Anyway, he's presenting his arguments, and then can she be sentenced? I'm ready.
Now, we understand there's a minimum mandatory of 25 years in this case, Judge, and the court can impose a life sentence in this case. Based on the evidence, the undisputed facts as I've just brought to the attention of the court, we'd ask for the minimum mandatory of 25 years be imposed against Laurie Shaver. That would be our recommendation to the court at this stage. And Ms. Shaver, I know in the PSI, she had sent the court a letter as to her feelings, impressions, and her sentiment about the matter. I presume it's made a part of the record for the purposes of the sentencing, and I presume that the court has reviewed that as well.
I have reviewed the letter, Mr. Wiggs.
Thank you, Judge.
Is there anything further?
And I sympathize with the family that's here. I know they have heartfelt feelings about it and emotions. It's not testimony in the sense that it's offered anything to establish the state's case. And I am sympathetic as to the scenario that they found themselves. The court would be reminded, though, and also in this case, that there was...
Are you, though, sir? Do you feel anything for them? I don't think so. He threw Michael Shaver right under the bus throughout the trial. Thank you, Elbows, Mom.
Evidence of physical abuse by Mr. Shaver, and there was nothing that really contradicted that in this trial. I bring that to the attention of the court as well. And I think all these facts would justify at least the minimum mandatory imposition.
25
All right. Does
to
your client
life.
wish to address the court?
Do you need...
Yes, please say something. Oh my word, why don't you just give her a hug?
Okay. No, she does.
Mr. Wiggy, you still have a hot mic. During the trial, he wasn't sure how to mute the mic. There were a lot of hot mic moments in the first 2 or 3 days. If you missed it, as I say, please go check it out. This trial was very interesting, very short, 5 days, right? Day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're done. Verdict within 4 hours. Everything's timestamped for you. And on day 1, we went over the probable cause affidavit. So you might want to check that out as well. Smiling Jack says, is LWOP an option? Well, in Florida, they don't have parole. So it's 25 to life. If she gets a life sentence, I think that would mean she spends the rest of her life in prison. Okay.
Yes, Judge.
Is there anything further?
Nothing further from the defense.
Anything further from the state?
No, sir.
Please present your client for sentencing.
Shaver.
Oh, my word. Okay, wait.
Laurie-
Whoa. Are we ready? She's going to be sentenced. She's 41 years old now.
Laurie Shaver Filmer, in case number 2020 CF 2361, having been found guilty by a jury of your peers of the offense of murder in the second degree with a firearm and having been adjudicated guilty of the offense of murder in the second degree with a firearm, the court hereby sentences you to a term of life in the Florida Department of Corrections. Standard fines, fees, and costs will be assessed. Mandatory court costs will be assessed. You will have 30 days to appeal. Do you wish to have appellate counsel appointed?
Yes, Judge, and I've prepared motions for the court. At this stage,
Wow.
I filed 2 notices of appeal. The state, the
Okay, Wiki thinks it's funny. He's filed two. He's like, I filed 2 notices of appeal, Judge. And we're ready to appeal. He gave her life. This judge has no more time for this, okay? Okay, present your client for sentencing. Hello. Okay, Laurie Shaver, you are sentenced to life. Life in prison. Oh my word. Justice for Michael Shaver.
Clerk sent one prematurely to the DCA, and it got returned. I advised him that the state had inadvertently sent it in advance of the sentencing. So that was returned yesterday. I filed was dated or identified as a second notice of appeal, and I've sent the clerk a letter, wait to the sentencing to send this. I've likewise filed with the court a motion for appointment of declare the defendant indigent for costs and to request that the public defender's office be appointed. The JAC has received the pleading. They said they have no input on the matter, and they've been noticed for the hearing as well.
All right. State have any objection?
No.
Okay. Well, court will appoint appellate counsel for Miss Laurie Shaver Filmer.
Very well.
All right. Do you have a proposed order?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a proposed order, if I may.
Madam Clerk has an order, Mr. Wiggs, so we'll use the order that Madam Clerk has prepared.
I want to go back and see it
Is there
again.
anything further from the state?
Just real briefly, as a matter, when you refer to the standard costs, that would include the $100 cost of prosecution.
Yes, $100 cost of prosecution will be imposed.
Thanks, sir.
Judge, one thing, and I know it's not binding on DOC, but the court can state in an input that as to placement.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Wiggy. What we're going to do now is we just want to, I don't think they're going to do much more here. And then I just want to go back and see the sentencing just one more time quick. Then we're going to read her crazy letter, and that will take maybe an hour, I would guess. I'm never good at guessing based on the number of pages and the type of writing and all of that, but I think it could take 45 minutes to an hour. So please stick around because that letter, you might want to hear it. It's crazy.
But Ms. Filmer at this stage has requested that the court recommend placement at the Gadsden facility in North Florida for family visitation at this stage.
State have any objection?
No, that's completely up to the Department of Corrections.
And again, that is up to the discretion of the Department of Corrections. The court can merely make a recommendation, and it is so recommended that Miss Laurie Shaver Filmer be housed at Gadsden.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you.
Is there anything further from the parties?
Yes, sir.
Nothing from
Wiggs?
the defense.
There's
Thank
nothing further than we'll adjourn.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. We're adjourned.
Oh, my word.
Judge, I'm sorry.
Okay.
While we're all present still, just for purposes of the record and preservation, I'd renew all the pretrial motions to renew my motion for judgment of acquittal and judgment notwithstanding the verdict for purposes of the appeal. I don't think it's necessary, but I just do it on the record at this stage.
Any response from the state?
Okay.
And all prior motions were respectfully denied.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
And off she goes. That was a really quick sentencing. Bye. Forever. Well, there's going to be appeals and all of that. Oh my goodness. Congratulations to the state. I think they did a really good job of presenting everything they could. And I really hope that Michael's family feels, and his friends, that justice has been served because she got life in prison. So if we just go back here for a second. There. Look how quick this was. Oh my goodness.
All right. Laurie Shaver Filmer, in case number 2020 CF 2361, having been found guilty by a jury of your peers of the offense of murder in the second degree with a firearm and having been adjudicated guilty of the offense of murder in the second degree with a firearm, the court hereby sentences you to a term of life in the Florida Department of Corrections. Standard fines, fees, and costs will be assessed. Mandatory court costs will be assessed. You will have 30 days to appeal. Do you wish to have appellate counsel appointed?
Yes, Judge, and I've prepared motions for the court.
And that was it. Just like that. Life in prison. Wow. Okay. Oh, my word. So now let's bring up this crazy letter. Are you ready? Buckle up. Okay. So I'm going to take Michael's picture off there now because I want to show you this letter and we might get a little snarky. It's really, oh my. Okay, here's Laurie Shaver's 14-page letter that I think this would have also been enough to really piss the judge off. Like, come on, man. There's no remorse here whatsoever, no accountability, which doesn't really help her case for any eligibility for parole. Sentenced to life in prison, right? Can you guys see it nicely? Must I zoom in more? How's that? 14 pages of this. Can you believe it? Charlie says, orange is the new black for her. right? Janet says, and you believe her, Mr. Wiggy. Mr. Wiggy will continue fighting for her. I know that. He's very, very determined, right? Oh my goodness. KPT says 40 years before any chance of parole, but I believe in Florida. I don't know. I've got to go check that out. Yeah, so there, Grizzly Girl says life is truly life in Florida. I've got to check out that the law, you know. But I think that means the rest of her natural life she'll spend in prison. Wow. I don't know. I don't think she's going to be able to process that, you know. She's very much in denial. Okay, so this letter was written on November 4th of 2024. Today's date is November 26th of 2024. So this is the date that she was sentenced. And it was already, you know, on the court docket that it would be the 25th and 26th. Yesterday it seemed like there were some motions or something that were being discussed in the courtroom. And then today was the sentencing day. So thank you, Christy, for confirming that there's no parole in Florida. Yeah, she's not going to get parole. Wow. Okay. Now, she wrote this letter and it just feels like, here we go again. Like between Sarah Boone, Jesse Kershevsky, even Leilani Simon, she also wrote a letter. Wow. Here we go for another letter. Why do they do this? Why do they not? Obviously don't see the pattern, but like it's becoming very, very typical, right? Okay, so are we ready? Here, Honorable, it says CC Honorable Judge Rodder. Attention, Nick Camuccio, Office of State Attorney, CC Honorable Judge Rodder, November 4th of 2024. Mr. Camuccio, my name is Laurie Filmer, previously known as Laurie Shaver, and I'm writing to you concerning the case of Michael Shaver and my conviction. I know with every fiber of my being you wanted for me to be guilty of the murder of Michael Shaver. Why, though? This is something, after all these years, I've been unable to comprehend. Was it because it's a standard to always go after the spouse, the one closest to the person? Is it because it's just easier to accuse the spouse than to actually spend the means necessary to properly investigate? Or might it be because there are so many cases for you to handle, you prefer to rush through them than to do what is actually right? Prior to my arrest in September of 2020, this was a closed case file due to insufficient evidence to name any person as the primary, which is interesting. I don't think that they saw it as a closed case file. It sounds more like she saw it as a closed case file, right? She's just like, but this case was done. I was in the clear. Anyway, so she said, wait, let me say that again. I'll just keep reading it. Prior to my arrest, okay, this was a closed case file due to insufficient evidence to name any person as the primary. It was listed as a closed case file, not for tips, as previously indicated, because the tips received and called in were never followed up on. So my question is, what changed from March of 2018 to September of 2020 that led to my arrest? In 2018, a body was found on my previously owned 5-acre property, but there was nothing linking me to the murder of Michael Shaver in 2018, 2019, or most of 2020, or else I would have been arrested immediately or shortly after the discovery of his body. From my review of the case file, nothing changed from 2018 to 2020, except the falsified statements supposedly made by Travis Filmer, current husband, back in 2018, was added in. Back in 2018, the body was found, DNA results were obtained, interviews were conducted, ballistic results received, screenshots of Facebook messages had been provided, investigators' reports, etc., etc. Look how she types etc. Or how she writes it. Okay, in 2018 and 2019, all the information in this case file remained the same, and none of which was enough for a judge to sign off on a presumable cause report. Listen, lady, it's probable cause, okay? Okay, and issue a warrant for my arrest. The evidence was insufficient, and there was no primary source of evidence. As such, the case was filed a cold case file. So again, I ask, what changed? What new evidence came into the case file from 2018 to 2020 that led to my arrest? Nothing. What I presume happened is after this was, I just want to see what is this word? Marked. There we go. After this was marked as a cold case, Michael's family called and put pressure on you or someone higher than you, as they have stated in media interviews, that they will not stop until justice is done. So if they say they will not stop until justice is served, she's like, yeah, they manipulated you. You know, she's projecting quite hard here, in my opinion. I think she's the most manipulative one in the room, in every room, right? It is no secret that the Shaver family have and hold political positions in the state of Georgia. They run over 40 prisons in Georgia, are wealthy, and have power of influence. Okay, this is Florida. So again, I ask, what changed? Nothing, right? Except now, for some reason, other than seeking true justice, an arrest needs to be made, even if that means wrongfully convicting an innocent person. As I see it, for over 2 years, it was in the media that his body was found on my property. I obtained an attorney, and even though there was no evidence linking me to the death or burial site of Michael Shaver, something new had to exist for the judge to sign off on the presumable cause report and issue a warrant. That something new was the supposed statement of Travis Filmer. My question to this is, if Travis Filmer, which is her current husband, I don't know why she's speaking about him like that. Does he speak to her still or not? What's going on there? She said, my question to this is, if Travis Filmer made the statement in 2018, essentially indicating that I confessed something to him, then why wasn't I arrested in 2018? That's rhetorical for us, right? Like, hello, they need to prosecutors build their case. They only learned that Michael was missing in February of 2018. So, all right, the supposed statement made by Travis Filmer in March of 2018 was not recorded. There's no body cam. He was never asked to provide a written statement. And then there's some, I can't read this because they didn't scan this whole sentence properly, but it said fabricated and added in 2020 to obtain the warrant for my arrest and charge of second-degree murder and accessory. There was never any new evidence that was obtained in 2020 that wasn't in the case file in 2018. Instead, a story was fabricated and fed to the media to create an emotional response from people. From people. No animals, just people. Just the way she says it. From people. So you could force your fabricated story without evidence that has ultimately led to my conviction. To this day, there's no evidence, nor will there ever be, to link me to the murder or burial of Michael Shaver, as I did not pull the trigger, nor had any connection or knowledge of what was done to his body. Right, okay. The only thing that exists is a fictional story to make a case. What there is proof that detectives and the state did not properly investigate or follow procedures while investigating a case of this magnitude. Even after my attorney came to you, not to make a deal, but in a proper, what does this say? This word, I can't see what this is. In a proper investigation would have been conducted, nothing was done. Even after my attorney told you the knowledge I had of what happened and who to investigate. You just said you didn't have any knowledge of it. Now you're like, yeah, even though my attorney told you of the knowledge I had, and who to investigate. Nothing more was done. For some reason, everyone was fine with one short interview done with Jeremy Townsend as his wife sat beside him. Do you feel the resentment? She had an affair with Jeremy Townsend. She is so not over him. No. If you watch the trial, she's still in love, I think, in my opinion. Okay, so now she brings up Jeremy, and it seems like her mind cannot let that go. Even after tips came in from outsiders regarding Jeremy Townsend, no further investigation was conducted. No one contacted Mark Valenti or his wife to verify statement. No one requested or reviewed the prior injunction orders filed against Jeremy Townsend to see if they lined up with my statements about him harassing, threatening, and following me and my family. To that I say, you wish. She really wishes that Jeremy just wanted her so much that he would be like following her and all that. No one wants a stalker, but she does. She's like, Jeremy, you wanted me, right? Like, come on. Okay, so they say no one obtained his DNA to link it to the scene. No one requested his phone records, email records, Facebook records. Detective Dormier stated his were too old, which I don't understand how. So as they were for the same time period as mine. If you had, it would have been discovered he had a private investigator looking for Mike. Even after I had, and then again, this is just not scanned fully. Oh dear, continued to follow me and threaten me. He begged for me to wait for him, wanting some time for his wife to cool down. And also, so he could move his business money around. In fact, he broke up with her when she got a tattoo on her, you know what? Oh, she was very committed to that affair. She's like, oh, yes. Yeah, he got freaked out when she got that tattoo down there. He's like, I'm out. And now she's like, he begged for me to wait for him, wanting some time for his wife to cool down. And also, shame, his poor wife had to testify as well. Also, so he could move his business money around. Jeremy had stated that she'd get half of his military benefit, but he could hide the landscaping business money by moving it to his partner. That way she couldn't get it in the divorce. But I wanted nothing to do with him. Sure. I think that's still allowed today. She had her hair all done for that trial day when he was there. Your fictional story is not accurate at all. I've lived my life in fear, controlled, abused, and on edge or walking on eggshells, so to speak, during my marriage to Michael Shaver. I refused to go back to Jeremy after he threatened me and my family. I seen who he was and he is capable of, and I wanted no part of it. Then why'd you get that tattoo? Jeremy Townsend was fully aware about a concrete patio to be built. The concrete was purchased while we were dating. Anyone on Facebook would have known about the concrete patio to be built. Yeah, but you didn't build a patio. You built a fire pit. And I have to say it like that because we saw some pictures of it and I'm like, what the hell was that? Wow. I do know, and that was right over where she buried Michael Shaver. I do know that he did not bury the body on my property the day of Michael Shaver's death. I was gone 25 to 30 minutes that morning, and he was gone when I arrived. As well, the concrete patio was not, what does that say? Paneled? I don't know, till months later. Built, I don't know. It wasn't built until months later. I tried contacting Jeremy with no success. That I thought he wanted you so badly. She says, I tried contacting Jeremy with no success until he finally showed back at my house at about 2 p.m. He wouldn't answer my questions or give me details. He reassured me that he had everything covered and it was best for me to not have knowledge so nothing could come back on me. But now I know that he was only protecting himself. I suspected Jeremy took the body to his family's property near, is that Ocala? Also, Jeremy was a partner in a landscaping business and had access to larger equipment. Has it ever occurred to you why a so-called innocent person would obtain an attorney around the same time that my daughter did, even though he wasn't being investigated or charged? Maybe, poured, thank you, poured the concrete. Thank you, everyone. I'm like, poured, panel, built, thank you, poured the concrete. That makes sense. Paved or poured. Yeah, so if he lawyered up, I think it would be, if I speculate, because he knows how damn manipulative she is. And if she even told him, my husband is gone, missing, he might have been like, holy crap, because he served in the military, right? Like, oh crap, like, okay, yeah, time for me to get a lawyer, never know what she's gonna pin on him, as you can see here in Exhibit A. Wow. Okay, she said, I obtained an attorney because I had knowledge. Yeah, you did. And was afraid to expose the truth in fear of retaliation from Jeremy Townsend. He was not happy that I would not wait for him and cut him out of my life. I told him I'd never tell anyone, and he had nothing to worry about. But obviously, as I found out, that did just not sit well with him, as he must have tried to set me up by moving the body to my property, fully aware of the concrete patio to be poured. Jeremy Townsend obtained an attorney after hearing redacted obtained an attorney, the daughter, right? As he knew that meant that he was going to be exposed. But here again, he was minimally questioned and not investigated. Not only did he lie under oath, but he completely changed his appearance so he wouldn't be recognized. So she was like shocked by his appearance or what? That's not how she thought he's gonna look. Like, what? This guy's changed his hair. Oh my. The state and the detectives on this case failed to properly and thoroughly investigate all avenues and ran with one and only one suspect, ... me. It's like this whole case was seen through tunnel vision, and no one ever took a step to truly evaluate another reason or suspect. Justice has not been served in the case of Michael Shaver, and an innocent person, myself, has been prosecuted. I know that I haven't always made the best decisions or been the utmost honest person during my marriage to Michael. That's an understatement. She cheated on him left and right. She just about was, with everybody in town. Okay, so I wasn't the utmost honest person during my marriage to Michael, but one thing for sure, I am not a murderer. If I wanted to see Michael dead, then why I didn't, well, I guess she means why didn't I shoot him during any of the other ample times that I was being hit and thrown around? Why would I call 911, a recording case file, in fear Michael was going to hurt himself after an argument that we had, and he was forced out of the house by Robert Mercado? It was actually the other way around. Apparently she was threatening to kill her family and then herself. And Michael was scared. And 911 was called. And they went there. And this Robert Mercado helped Michael get some of his stuff and get out of there. Right? And Pot says, gee, her punctuation is just like her remorse, non-existent. Yes, not all that easy to read, hey. When I was cut off in trial, trying to explain Michael's anger. Yeah, you mean the objections? Yeah, okay. What I was going to say, you want to have the last word. Okay, what I was going to say was Michael's anger stemmed from essentially being abandoned by his father. Yeah, she has no right to bring this up, you know what I mean? Anyway, the last time that he spent a summer in Georgia at his father's house was in 7th grade. Michael was a troubled kid. He was always getting into fights, disrespectful to teachers. You see, the victim blaming and shaming goes on. It's incredible. Brenda Redmond said narcissists who can't believe they can't convince people of their innocence. It's like Aliyah Bulaban all over again. Just, now it's Laurie Shaver. It's just like, what? Why won't people believe me? No, she's so used to manipulating people. She just can't believe this. I really think this is going to be hard for her to process this sentence. Life in prison. No parole. LWOP. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, wow. So then it says, and eventually dropped out and later obtained his GED. Michael's biological mom let him run the streets and do whatever he wanted. She, along with my mother, had a gambling addiction. She's just like, now she's just going to throw everyone under the bus. Wow. You're the convicted killer, lady. Look in the mirror. And we're never around. I guess she means we're never around. Michael did not keep a relationship with his mother after 2001. And then again, can't see the last sentence there. He tried year after year to obtain a relationship with him, and he was constantly let down. The rejection by his father, along with the animosity, I like how she spelled that. And we're on page 6 out of 14, you guys, just so you know. The animosity that Michael had towards his dad for cheating on his mom and leaving them when he was young, along with the financial struggles that him and his mom had while his dad married into wealth and had a daughter that got whatever she wanted, fueled Michael's anger. Year after year, his anger grew worse, and he turned to drinking and later to pills after he started volunteering at Warbird Adventures. Michael had no connection with his family when we started dating, and he became a close participant in my family. You mean you isolated him? Classic isolation, abuse, DARVO, deny attack, reverse victim offender. That's more what we heard at the trial. Because of this, I believe that's why he was so possessive over me, in fear of losing the only person who had ever been there for him. Yet she stalked him. She literally stalked him when they'd separated. He was living in a hangar, and he was dating someone else. And that lady was terrified of Laurie as well at that point, because Laurie was driving around with a gun, threatening to come over and find them. You know what I mean? Oh, my word. So now she's like, yep, he was so possessive over me. No, again, the other way around. Okay. In fear of losing the only person who had ever been there for him. The abuse went from controlling and verbal to physical and even controlling what I ate. I wanted out, as I was scared for my safety, but I also kept going back to him, believing he was sorry, and I wanted our marriage to work. We were high school sweethearts. And that's what's so sad. They knew each other their whole life. You know, they met in school as kids. What? Michael had a good side. I seen it. That's who I fell in love with. All I ever wanted was to be loved and cared for and to have a happy family. To do different than what we grew up with. During times when Michael and I would separate, yes, I fell easily for the flattery other men would give me. And then, what? But then, that would wear off after they got what they wanted, and I'd be left alone. I didn't know how to be alone. Michael controlled everything. I had codependency issues. Being controlled and mentally abused for many years messed with the way that I thought and perceived things. I had been isolated from a lot of family and friends, but still, from what we heard, she was doing the isolating. Anyway, we're hearing what she's saying here. Okay, I lost family. She said because of the isolating. Because of the abuse and my constant defending of Michael's actions, I lost family and friends. Getting out never seemed like an option due to the lack of support, financial means, housing, and fear that he'd find me and kill me. And then, what would become of my 2 children? I did leave with the kids to New York in an attempt to leave him. And after he found me and beat me, trigger warning, we were back in Florida 3 weeks later. That's when Michael got his piloting his piloting career and blamed me for that as something told me to take off Michael. I don't know. I wish they would just scan this properly. Shame. Okay, so started working for Disney at this time so that he could be home every day, and the control became worse. He put up cameras around the property and inside the home. He put an app on our phones so he could monitor and see all my phone calls and messages. In 2014, when Michael was arrested for the battery, the DCF investigator went to interview him in jail. When she came to see me, she informed me that she told him, you can't keep your wife locked up in the house and prevent her from leaving. And to that, he replied, she's my wife. I'll do whatever I want. Who's writing fictional stories now? Michael thought that he owned me, and DCF had asked me and the kids to go into protection, and they would change our names and social security numbers. At that time, I refused, believing that was it, that I was strong enough now. And I had also promised her daughter that was the last time that we moved. The kids were finally in a good school, and I made friends. All I wanted was for my children to have a normal, happy life and not have to live in fear or be scared anymore. Now I see that I was not strong enough. Michael always had a spot in my heart, and he always knew what to say to me to get me to forgive him and to make me feel guilty for wanting to give up on our marriage. I was naive and gullible, she said. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. Okay. There's too much empty space on the side there. Can you believe all of this? I'm not really monitoring the chat now because I'm busy reading over here. But please tell me what you think, and please leave a comment below as well, because I want to read them afterwards. I want to know what you guys are thinking with all of this. So, if you're only joining now, we've already watched Laurie Shaver get sentenced. Life in prison. No parole. And we've already seen her attorney be like, oh, okay, he's filing 2 appeals and all the pre-trial motions. He's going to just reactivate all of that. And now we're reading a letter that she wrote on November 4th of 2024. Today's November 26th, if you're watching live with me, and that's when she was sentenced. So I don't think that this letter did her any favors, right? It really shows she doesn't take any accountability, continues with the stories that she was telling on the stand, all of that. Okay, so she said, make me feel, okay, I was naive and gullible. I've lived with enormous self-hatred and guilt for many years because I was not strong enough, because I kept allowing him back into my life and allowed him to tear me down and our home down again and again. Because I allowed him near the children, and they heard and witnessed horrible things. Michael has always told me, if he couldn't have me, then no one could. It's like she's learned from other cases, it sounds like to me. And somehow that has come true, as I face a life in prison. But really, she killed him, So she was very jealous when he tried to move on with somebody else. So to me, again, this is classic Darvo, in my opinion. Deny, attack, reverse victim offender. She's like, yep, that's it, but no. Yet again, the abuser wins. Never in a million years would I have ever believed that I'd be found guilty of the murder of Michael Shaver. Yeah, we saw that. I think she still won't believe it. I did not pull the trigger. I did not bury him in my backyard. I do not have that ability in me. I'm guilty of being weak, scared, and tired of constantly looking over my shoulder in fear of Jeremy Townsend, who threatens me and my children. My children especially, she named them, have been through enough. I've been through enough. They have witnessed and have so much trauma caused by Michael. And now they've lost their mother. They have lost faith in men and the judicial system because the bad guys always fight and win. How do you sleep at night knowing that Michael's not who the media tried to portray, and knowing there's so many holes in this case? The investigation was not full and complete. You tore a family apart. You tore a mother away from her 4 children. You put an innocent person, a domestic violence survivor, behind bars. For what? Publicity? Money? Pension? Politics? Another win for the books? Don't you think that how she lists those, it's telling? It's very telling what her priorities are in life, right? She's listing like, what did you do it for? Yeah, go on, Laurie. Let's speculate. What did they do this for? And she's like, okay, would it be maybe for publicity? She loves attention. Money? Sure, what's after that? Pension? Might as well say life insurance. Politics? Another win for the books, as she smirked just before she was sentenced when one of Michael's friends had written a letter and they'd made a statement saying that Laurie stole him from her. And she was like, I win, basically. Oh, my word. Okay. Justice was not served in this case. The real murderer walks free. And my children, ages 16, 13, 6, and 5, now must grow up without a mother in a broken family. I mean, that is sad. That is terrible because of her actions. I may not be much to you, but I am to my children, and my children are my world. The state has filed petitions multiple times in an attempt to take my children from me because of this, and every time the judge dismissed the case. My children have always been healthy, healthy, clean, happy with me, loved, smart, respectful, caring. They know Jesus and now are surrounded by people who love and support them. Okay, that's good to know. We've all been through so much. When does someone stop and say, I see you, I hear you, what happened to you was wrong and not your fault, and we will help you? Laurie, I think Mr. Wiggy had that part covered, you know? He's like, I see you, I hear you, what happened to you was wrong, not your fault, we will help. I think she got that need met, you know? Isn't the judicial system supposed to be about proving innocence or guilt based on facts gathered through investigation instead of building a case around some theory someone had? The sad part is, I know none of this matters to you, nor will it affect you in any way because the truth has never been your desire or goal over the past 6 years. It's wrong and it's a disgrace. I know what I've done and what I haven't done. I know of my innocence and God knows the truth. I don't know why God has kept me alive and going over all these years of abuse, but now being found guilty, I do believe it was for a purpose, to change and expose this district. She got convicted for a purpose now, okay? She's going to expose this district. I wonder if she'll expose herself to herself in her plastic mirror in her cell at some point. Okay, so Wait, in this district. The enemy has tried and tried to falter my faith over all these years, but I stand strong and refuse to let him win. Which one is it? Jeremy, Michael, Satan? You know, which one? I know, I get it. I'm just saying sarcastically. Okay, so I stand to my hope and faith in God's word. What was meant for harm, God will use for his, I can't read that, purpose, for his good. I don't know. So you lose, she writes, so you lose. I can read that part here. So you lose, okay? The Lord will not the glory. We will take this as high as we need to clear my name. As high as we need to. And she's taking it straight upstairs, you guys. And as such, should bring process or law changes here into this district. How this case was investigated and handled by the state attorney's office was wrong, unfair, unethical, and not justifiable. Other issues, aside from those that will be filed on appeal, that I believe the Honorable Judge Rada should take notice to include a tainted jury. Oh my, now there's a tainted jury, Miranda rights, and impeachment of Jeremy Townsend, and failure to disclose Brady evidence. During trial, juror member Langley was questioned about sitting on the court steps and overhearing a media interview. Now she's naming jurors' names. Like, what the hell is wrong with you, Laurie? Ah, another Laurie, another convicted Laurie. Oh my. Following trial, it became known to us that on Friday, 9/13/24, the day of my conviction, Adam N. seen and overheard juror member, I'm just saying N in case we're not supposed to say his whole name, seen and overheard juror member Langley and another juror, black man, name unknown, sitting on the court steps during the lunch hour talking about the case. At that time, this was not reported, as Adam was not aware the jurors couldn't discuss the case together, as he thought they just couldn't discuss it with anyone outside the jury. Langley not only had possibly overheard media interviews, she discussed the case with another juror the final day of the trial, which could be confirmed by the courthouse security footage and a statement by Adam. It should also be noted that Langley proceeded to becoming the... Did she write floor person? Did she write... the floor person? The floor person? Look at this. It just looks like... this word looks like floor, but for person. Okay. At deliberation that led to my conviction. As a violation to trial proceedings, this in itself should lead to a mistrial and my release. Oh my word, that's not how that's going to work, okay? Your mistrial, you're probably still going to be in jail. She bonded out initially. She lived her best life until the trial. Oh yeah, then she was there every day. She came from home and then she was convicted. She was found guilty. And so then they put the handcuffs on and took her straight to jail for the first time. Really, to stay there now. Indefinitely. Well, she's going to prison. But 49er girl, welcome. All right, so Miranda writes. We're on page 10 out of 14. We're getting there. Evident that a reasonable person in the suspect's position would feel a restraint of his or her freedom of movement, fairly characterized so that the suspect would not feel free to leave or to terminate the encounter with the police. Ross versus State of Florida. Is she quoting legal? She's citing other cases now. Upon my arrest in September of 2020, I was not read my Miranda rights at my house or upon my booking. Following my booking and after I was incarcerated for approximately 3 weeks, an officer came to my cell and stated they received a call from a detective and needed to see my tattoos. Oh no! Ma'am, we're going to have to see those tattoos. All of them? I don't know, man. Okay. Right. Without thinking why, I showed the officer my tattoos, who called the detective and reported back her findings. When this occurred, I was not sure why. At booking, they noted one tattoo for identification purposes. However, at trial, Mr. Amatuccio spoke of my tattoos, and they were also mentioned in the media. My rights were violated, and I was taken advantage of while incarcerated in 2020. Not only were my Miranda rights not read, my attorney was not made aware of the action taken. She didn't want anyone. We didn't want to know either. We really didn't want to know about that tattoo either. But they had to add that for context as to why the hell Jeremy's like, I'm out. Like, what the hell are you doing? Oh my word. Impeachment falls under Brady if there is reasonable probability. Had the evidence been disclosed to the defense, the result of the proceeding would have been different. The duty extends to impeachment evidence as well as exculpatory evidence. Is she having fun playing lawyer? Refer to the enclosed email from Mark Valenti received during mid-trial week. As you can see from this email, Mark Valenti called in tips that were not followed up on. If there had been, the state could have confirmed that Jeremy Townsend has a more extensive military history than he led on to, and a history of threats, stalking, and physical harming of another. The injunction orders, although not granted, could have verified a pattern of his behavior with my statements. Jeremy Townsend lied under oath. The state failed to provide the Brady evidence that, if disclosed, could have reasonably changed the outcome of the trial. In addition, the state failed to disclose 3 911 calls in order to support their narrative that I was obsessive, a liar, and to paint a picture that it was me with a gun in hand. Yeah, that sounds about right. The first 911 call involved James Bellew. Apparently, someone from his family called as I kicked them out of my house and placed their belongings on the outside of my gate for pickup. James and Michael Shaver were constantly fighting, and I wanted nothing to do with the drama. She's like, have you seen that, that sound bite on TikTok? Maybe you've seen it on YouTube as well. It's like, me? The drama? I'm not the drama. Am I the drama? Yeah, Laurie, you're the drama. Yes, Leigh says, I can't believe she's making legal arguments to a judge. She's trying her level best here, okay? She said, I wanted nothing to do with the drama. If this was disclosed by the state and we were not denied reporting prior bad acts, this information would have not supported the state's false story that the guys I dated wanted out. And I was the obsessed one, madly in love. The second 911 call, not disclosed, was made by me and Robert Mercado. Michael came after me in a drunken rage, and Robert had to stand in front of me. Robert got Michael to leave the house with intent to take Michael to his house, but Michael drove off by himself. We called 911 in fear of Michael's safety and mental instability. During trial, Robert Mercado stated he was not involved in the call, and I had a gun. During the incident, no gun was ever touched by either one of us, nor was there any statement of such on the 911 call. Robert Mercado fabricated the story and lied under oath. This again could have been proven and changed the course of the state's narrative if disclosed. Again, we were prevented from talking about prior bad acts. The third 911 call was made by me when my kids and I came out of Publix and something pulled up, SUV pulled up behind us pointing a gun. I ran the kids across the parking lot into the UPS store and called 911. The officers came and took my statement. Following investigation, it was found that Michael Shaver had someone following us, and the gun was supposedly just to scare me. Again, these 911 calls were in my case file, but this Brady evidence was not disclosed at trial, and we were prevented from talking about prior bad acts. These 911 calls were not disclosed, and the state objected to us from being able to talk about these situations, among others, as they would not support the state's subjective narrative. These 911 calls would have shown I was not the obsessed one, nor the one with a gun in hand. No, just the one with a tattoo on your hoo-ha. You're not the obsessed one. It must be Jeremy. Oh my. Katina Vasquez is another witness that lied under oath. When asked during trial if she remembered writing a letter to DCF stating that she was in fear Michael was going to hurt me or the kids, she stated she didn't think so. Again, if this letter was disclosed by the state and we were given a chance to question Katina about prior bad acts witnessed, it would have proven her testimony false. Also, the last time I seen Katina was before Travis and I started dating at the end of May of 2016. Katina Vasquez has never met Travis Filmer, Austin Filmer, never Travis Filmer, Austin Filmer, or Rebecca Urbanowski, who all resided in my house following May 2016. Her statement that she was in my house in 2016, I would assume this is, or 2017, and seen Michael's belongings was completely false. As you could see and know very well, there are many issues with this case. Much is not true and cannot or has not been validated as indicated by the state. Well, all the jurors disagree, Laurie. In addition to the statement of judicial acts to be reviewed on appeal, I hope my explanation will review many of the holes in this case, and a judicial responsibility will be taken with high esteem. Wrongful conviction is not okay. No, it's not. Does anyone feel like that she was wrongfully convicted? And you may. I don't. From everything we saw that the state presented, I think they got the right person, and I think justice was served. It's not okay, and this district needs to stop and reevaluate their ethical and moral codes. Laurie, look how she writes her name, Laurie Filmer, previously known as Laurie Shaver, as if the judge wouldn't know who's writing it. Okay, so let's quickly do this. This is now some other crappy letter that she got someone to write that she included in her letter. Jeff Wiggs. Subject Jeremy Townsend. Email contact from Mark Valenti. Comments. Hello, Mr. Wiggs, otherwise known here as Wiggy. I contacted you anonymously a while ago about Mr. Townsend. So Laurie got this guy to write a letter for her or what? Okay, but let's hear it. I used to live across the street from him in Fox Chase in Claremont. The man is insane. I filed for a restraining order against him, but we were denied. He has a history. He beat up an 18-year-old kid in the street. He terrorized kids and showed them photographs of men that he said he'd killed. And he's had a hell of a lot more than just 2 affairs. I uncovered his dating profile in 2015 on Plenty of Fish, and he promptly removed it. He was also on Ashley Madison leaked data. I kind of hope that Jeremy sues Laurie and this guy, right? For defamation. Because, like, what the hell? Okay, he terrorized my wife and sons for years. The man is a bully, entirely capable of murder. In his deposition, he asserts that his first visit to the Shaver residence was in December of 2015. Did anyone subpoena cell phone pings? I'm sure he's lying about that. Did Wiggy write this? Those IP addresses. I've submitted several tips to Crime Line. All came back unfounded almost immediately. And that should tell you something. He may be getting support from an Osceola County Sheriff's deputy named Christopher Ramba. He can also sue, I think, who has history himself. Google Christopher Ramba, Orlando Sheriff. Okay, you can verify that I filed for restraining orders against him through the Lake County Court records. I tend to believe that he lied about the nature of his leaving the army. Tend to believe. Yeah, you're going to submit this to the public record and you tend to believe? Whoa, a little bit of slander going on here. I tend to believe that he lied about the nature of leaving the army and his supposed injuries. Oh, and imagine writing a letter and saying, oh, comma. Oh, and he was telling everyone in Fox Chase that he was a sniper and in special ops. He even told my son's class when he was unfortunate enough to have Vanessa as a teacher. I don't know, nor do I care if Laurie Shaver is innocent. Sound like you do, though. All I'm telling you is that Jeremy is a prolific liar, a scumbag, and entirely capable of murder. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. What the hell, man? Okay, Judge Corey Rada. I'm just looking at how she wrote this all. Okay, there we go. Lake County Judicial Center. It's got her stampies on there. Oh, wow. So, everyone, we got through the letter. At least it wasn't as long as Kershevsky's. Do you remember Jesse Kershevsky's? If you didn't see the Eye Drops murder trial, that one was a busy one too. You got to check that out sometime. All these trials we watched together are still there, of course. They're on playlists for replays. They timestamp, they defluffed, all the things. You could check the pinned comments, you could check the description box and all of that as well, right? And you could find the playlist in every episode. So if you missed this, if you were just here today and you're just curious and you want to maybe check out this trial, do check it out, especially day 4 when Laurie testified. She also had her daughter, her 15-year-old daughter testify, and it sounded like she got her to lie for her. The story made no sense. So that's scary as well. All right, Sunny, let's see what you guys say quickly. Sunny Ways said, awesome, I did watch the trial. She totally deserves it. So yeah, let me know in the comments as well. What do you think about the sentencing? She got sentenced to life in prison. I think she's going to get a huge fright right from that. So Miss North Musing said, geez, use your words and documents carefully. They could bite back later in a real life way. That's what I'm thinking. And I mean, whoever wrote that letter, Laurie's just like, I'm going to include this as an exhibit in my letter. So she's not throwing that person under the bus as well. You know, putting them in the spotlight and getting them in trouble as well. Ned Smith says, Laurie was born to bring out one's inner snark, right? Wow. So thank you so much. Jeannie says, Grizzly, since I joined your channel, I'm not sorry. Grizzly to Crime is the best I've ever come across. Thank you so much. Rob says, what a terrible mom. Now there's 4 children without their mom. Because she had 2 children with Michael Shaver. And then she got remarried. And then, you know, poured the concrete, made the fire pit over her husband's dead body. Okay. And then wrote her little initials, hers and Travis's, there by the fire pit with a heart. Very similar to the tattoo she's got of Jeremy. Always with a heart and the initials, like, oh my word. Roasted marshmallows, had gatherings there with her children there. But now, 2 of the children's father gone, 4 children without their mother. I think the children are all with Travis now. Maybe still, you know, wherever they stay now. I don't know. I hope that they'll be okay, but this mother is so manipulative. It's scary that she got one of her daughters to take the stand and say what she said. Melissa says, Mother of the Year contender. Yeah, I hope they'll all be okay. So, justice for Michael Shaver. I'm relieved because you just never know. You know, it took a long time for investigators to work this case because they only found out that Michael was missing 3 years or 2.5 years after he'd actually gone missing. You know, friends would come forward to say, you know, I really haven't heard from him. And the reason everyone thought that he was still around is because Laurie had been impersonating him. And the IP addresses proved it. Mr. Wiggy, the defense attorney, is very busy with IP addresses and arguments about that. The IP addresses proved where those messages were coming from. She kept his phone going. She changed Michael's number, her number. She pretended to be him on Facebook. She pasted even photos of some random, like, I can't remember if it was like a margarita bar or something, on his Facebook. Kept it going as if, and told people, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Things like that. Spoke on his behalf. When he was really buried in her backyard, right there by this new fire pit that she also posted on Facebook. Pictures of that fire pit. So, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thanks for watching the trial with me. If you did, please like and share. It really helps for others to know if they missed it. Because some people, if they're not on Patreon and they don't get notifications, you can sign up to Patreon. You can have the free membership and you'll get notifications for upcoming streams. But if you don't know about that and you don't get your notifications, if you like it, people might see it. Maybe it'll come up on the homepage. So, thank you so much. Thank you, mods. Really appreciate it. And I will see you all again very soon. I'll be looking out for other sentencing. I think Ashley Benefield, she's going to be sentenced at some point as well. And I'll keep you posted on other cases too. So thank you, everyone. I'll see you very soon. Remember to look at my YouTube Shorts and Community tab because I'm still getting hundreds of emails about the Hana Kobayashi case. I know about the update. Check my Community tab. Check the YouTube Shorts, right? I'm making things there for you as well. All right, everyone. See you again very soon. Stay safe.